and welcome to this video where we keep talking about the headline, and today we're going to look at special cases and details about the headline. So I want you to always be aware every time you study the headline, you always have to look at the heartline. They work together. So I have a whole series of video on the quadrangle, which is the area between the heartline and the headline. And please check the link to the series of video. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about the origin. So the origin of the headline, it has to be close. The perfect origin, it has to be close to the lifeline. So it shouldn't really touch it. You can touch it a tiny little bit, but it should be close. It means that you are using, again, the best of your headline and the lifeline. Lifeline is your body. Sometimes what happens is the headline is really separated from the lifeline, as you can see here, and it's called an independent headline. And in this case, it's more, because it's higher on the hand, it's more influenced by Jupiter. And Jupiter is our ambition. So we tend to be maybe more ambitious. We tend to do things our own way. We are not afraid to jump in. But by the same token, we are not really aware of what other people are doing. So it's always better to look around before you jump. The opposite of the independent line is the one where the line is really stuck to the lifeline. And you have an example here. When we have these lines stacked together, it's called a sensitive headline. So it's actually a sign of wisdom. It's not really a problem. It can just be a little bit harder to live with it because we are very much aware of others. And we tend to be influenced by our family, especially because this is the beginning of our life. So this is 0 and this is 21. So during those years, if the two lines are really stuck together, we are really going to depend on what the family is thinking. And as soon as the line open, like a little bit later on, this is when we find our freedom. So this is what the sensitive headline looks like and means. So now let's look at the quality of the line. And here you have an example of, I would call it a tormented line, because it has all kinds of different breaks and islands, and it's very uneven. It's very common because it has to do with our thinking. So if you are worried about that, because every case is different, just have a session with me and we'll look at your headline. But it's very, very common because you can see how a lot of people don't think clearly. It's very, very hard to actually think very clearly. Now, sometimes the line can be completely bombarded by little lines or for bigger lines of like interference line, and usually it's on the whole hand. So it's as if we have put our fingers in the electrical outlet and we go, Wah! And it's very hard to think because our mind is very busy. It's going in different direction. And in this case, we just need to calm down, to do some relaxation so that we can really help our headline. Another problem can be when we have a chained headline. So chain headline, as you can see, it's all kinds of these little, it's like all kinds of little islands. But as you can see, a lot of the time it's on other lines too. So it's just a way of thinking that has an effect on our whole life. So when it's chained, it means that we have a very high level of anxiety. We may feel insecure, and we worry about everything. So again, we can change that and we can learn to relax. Sometimes you have one or two islands, and this is like in the example, depending on the location of the island is going to have a different meaning, and this is going to be covered in one specific video. Sometimes we can have a branch between the hotline and the headline, and this is very, very common. So I already dedicated a whole video to that, so just check the link. Another case is to have what is called a simian line. So it means that the heart and the head are stuck together, or maybe they are stuck part of the way. And again, it happens a lot, and I have actually devoted a whole video to that. Check the link. Sometimes you may have a double line. You have an example of a double line. So it means definitely like this one starts with one and then it goes into two lines. Well, two lines, headline, means two ways of thinking. Should I do that or should I do that? Should I be a pianist or should I be an accountant? A lot of the time you're in two minds. So should I stay or should I go? So what is really required there is to choose. Choose one. It's always better. And something that helps is to have a destiny line. This line in the middle of the hand going up. This will help to use all the energy of this. It's a little bit confused because it's going in two different directions, and it will help you make choices. So if you choose, you can be brilliant because you can be good at least two things. If you don't choose, life can be a little bit more complicated. So again, I can help you with that. Sometimes instead of having two lines, you have a fork. So it's a fork at the end of the line. So the fork at the end is not as difficult as the double line. You are able to see two sides of the issue. So it usually makes you very creative. So you're able to find solution, and you also influence either because of the lines going two different directions. You are influenced either by Mars positive or by the moon, and depending on the length and the quality of it, it's going to have a different effect. As I mentioned several times, the headline helps you think. And the clearer the line, the easier the clearer the thinking is going to be. However, you have to remember that you create your own lines. The lines don't just come. It's not a question of fate. You created those lines. So because you created them, you can actually take charge of them and make sure that they work well. The very important thing to do with the headline is to show your headline who is the boss. And I want to leave you with this meme that I found in my social media. There are many people in my head, but I am the boss.